I'm going to teach you how to get Jayber completely for free. I'm going to go over all the steps needed to get all the materials in order to craft them. I'm also going to go over some neat tips and tricks for several other materials, as well as several missions that have some special additions to them that will need to be completed in order to do them. We're also going to go over the farming route and method for all the gathering mats and their best locations, as well as a whole bunch more. What's up world, it's Utopia back in with another video. Today we're checking out all things the first Descendant. Okay, so let's just get right into it. We'll get into Jayber's materials. We'll go into all the stuff that we're needed for that. Now, of course, with this one, again, you're going to need to craft each material here, like the enhanced cells, the stabilizer, the catalyst, and his code, which you'll get from somewhere else, but you'll need materials inside of that. So going over the materials, first we're going to go over the easier materials, then we'll get to the harder ones and the hardest of all, which leads us off to the blue materials, the research materials, which are fairly easy to farm. I've gone over these before, but I'm going to go over several of them again. We also have some new locations that I haven't gone over yet, and I've created new farm routes for those. So first up, the Hellion and the reverse charging coil are both in the fortress region, so we can farm these actually both at the same time. Now for the fortress region, we're going to head to the Fallen Arc temp zone. Once we get there, there should be about 6 different munitions boxes. Now we're going to be farming both the munition and the resource boxes in this one. There's a ton here with this one. Fortress is actually really easy to do in this temp zone. There's a lot in this little cluster here, so you'll see the route here. Fairly simple for this one. This one's just a kind of a down and left angle or a right angle. You'll see it's very simple overall. There's a lot of munitions boxes, there's a lot of resource boxes, especially packed in the one area. Although I will say, if you're not geared up for this area, you will need to be. Fortress is a very hard zone. Even in the normal section, they do some decent damage. If you are on hard, they are also pretty decently hard. They will chunk your health very fast, so just know that there. Jumping over to another new region. Now we're going to skip for right now the nano polymers because that will go with something else, but we're going to go with the shape memory alloy in the carbon crystal. Now both of these are in the Hagios region, and for this one it's going to be a little bit complex, or at least different than the others. We're going to want to go to the corrupted zone. We're going to get about 4 to 5 munitions boxes. Again, not too many resource boxes that you'll see on your way here. In fact, I don't believe I found any, at least in the first zone. The reason why I say first zone is because after we do gather the 4 to 5 boxes here, we're probably more than likely either going to want to go to Albion and then come back, or we're going to transfer to another section, which is the forward outpost. When we head to the forward outpost, there's again another 4 to 5 munitions boxes. I do believe this one had 1 or 2 resource boxes with it, but you can travel back and forth to these if you feel like that's a little bit better of a route, or you can head back to Albion and just do the first corrupted temp zone. That will have the most. I like to travel back and forth. It's not too bad. They'll also give you both new instances there, and so it's fairly decent. But there is 2 different farm routes there, because essentially at the end of the route, normally you transfer back to the outpost or the temp zone, and they're usually respawned. However, with this one, they are not. So jumping over to the nanopolymers, we have covered these before, however, I'll go over them again. We're going to go to the Agna Desert. This one, again, has the same issue here, where we're going to go to Mirage location, but we're also going to go to the temp location. So you can go back and forth from the Mirage to the Mirage temp. However, this one at least is in the same zone area, or at least the same subsection. And so you can just transfer back and forth. They're not going to be respawned in time, depending on how, especially if you're really fast. There won't be respawn, so you're going to want to just do back and forth. There is a lot in each section here. Agna Desert has a good chunk in the outpost sections, about 4 to 5 there, and then as well in the temp zone, you're going to give it 4 to 5 as well. This one again is mostly munitions boxes and not resource boxes. Now jumping over, we have our last material here, the Flectorite. Again, I've gone over this before, but this is in the White Knight Gulch, which we will go to another temp zone. This is going to be in the shipment area. However, this one's fairly simple. You're going to do the route here for the munitions and the resource boxes, and then upon being done with the route, you'll actually head back to the shipment temp zone, and those should be respawned. So you won't need to do anything convoluted there. You won't have to head into different subsections. You can just head right back to the same zone in the same section, which is the shipment temp. Okay, so that does cover it for our blue materials. Again, I've gone over these several times now, but I will go over them with each video. Jumping over now, we do have the purple materials. First up, the insulated metallic foil. When we go into here, these are fairly simple, but I do have a few tips here. These are just basic mission stuff. You're just going to go in there and you will get the missions done. Typically, these will actually drop from a yellow mob. So the purple materials will be from a yellow mob. Sometimes they're in the middle of this dungeon-esque. It could be a dungeon, it could be something else, but they typically will be from yellow mobs, or they can also be at the end of the dungeon, and then they will be from sometimes not a yellow mob, but a mob boss that has the invulnerability balls. those will also drop the purple materials, so both of those can. Sometimes it's better to just go halfway through, leave out of the mission, and come back in, as that typically is much faster than doing the entire thing. So if you want to do it private or public match and then leave out, either way, that's probably the fastest way that you're going to be able to do it. Another tip with this is, though, if you are going to do the missions, you can actually hit the F2 key and then hold the R key down on keyboard and mouse on the bottom right subsection with controller. I'm not sure what that keybind is, but you can hit that, and then you can actually hit the restart mission button. That will immediately teleport you back into another mission instance if you're on private, or it will immediately re-queue you back up after a certain time. So this makes the missions running really fast. Jumping over next, again, fortress area missions, same thing there. They're going to be the same type of thing. Yellow mob there, nothing too different there with all of these. So these are just going to be the mission ones. They're always fairly simple, except for this one here. We have the thermal metallic foil, which actually does either not really require Enzo, but you're more than likely going to want Enzo, because you're going to have to do the ultra precise vaults again, or the precise vaults. Now, in order to do these, I'll kind of showcase them again, whereas when you do load into a map, you will want to hit the tab key or the R3 key on controller, and that will bring up a little thing here where it's kind of like scanning the map. You'll hear a noise or a ping. That will tell you how close you are to this precision vault. When you get closer to it, the ping will get louder and louder, and then when you do get to it, you will have to use either a precision vault, a normal encrypted vault, or it's going to be an ultra precision vault key. These are RNG drops. In order to get these, if you do head to your consumables tab, you can actually see here how you get them, so you can look at the acquisition. They're RNG. There's no way to really farm these out. You just have to get them from missions. And they will be called code breakers here, like Precision Code Breaker and the Code Breaker regular one. Again, these are going to be completely RNG, so that's just kind of how you do it. There is 2 tips I have with this here. Enzo's going to make it a lot easier. If you do want to farm him, I have a guide on that below. I'll link that down below. And that's also on my channel if you want to check that out. But the other way that you can do this, again, normally, just be careful, because these things are pretty difficult, especially the ultra precision ones, and if you have frame gen on, there could be some free wishers there, but other than that, they will switch from left click to right click or left trigger to right trigger, so do be wary of that too. I failed a lot by not seeing that back and forth. If you fail one, more than likely you're going to fail the entire encrypted vault. These, again, are fairly difficult, so just be wary of that there. We're still not onto the hardest material yet, but we are on the section of the actual stabilizers or blueprints here. We do have these 2, or actually 3 technically, even the code itself. However, with this one, we have the spiral catalyst and the stabilizer. I'll do these together because these are the exact same. These are actually both from Swamp Walker. If you ever see these missions here, you do have a few options here. I would recommend Swamp Walker on this one over the Void Fusion reactors, although I've heard that Void Fusion reactors can be pretty fun. If you don't know how to actually do the Void Fusion reactors, essentially when you see these here, this will tell you what Void Fusion reactor you have to go to, and then upon clicking into this menu, you'll see the strategic outpost to get the pattern from. In order to actually get this unlock, you will need both the pattern and the materials to run the Void Fusion reactor. So we'll click into here, and then you can see how to actually get this material. It's a 25% drop chance. This is a recon mission, so nothing too special there. So fairly easy to get. You just got to run that mission over and over again, although you will also have to do the Void Fusion reactors. So we can see one here, for example. So we'll go back into the stabilizer, and we'll see the Void Fusion reactor sterile land repository. So we'll head to that section there. It's going to be in the same location typically as this, where we'll see it in this location here. So this Void Fusion repository is here. This is going to require, depending on hard or normal, a certain amount of monomer and void shard, or a certain amount of monomer void shards and organic void shards. This one's 37 and 8. You do get a little bit more when you're playing on hard mode. As you can see here, you get 12 from just doing 1. This gives inorganic. In fact, this one's actually really nice because you can actually get the void fragments right next to the void reactor. It's usually not typical there. You also will need bunny. Everybody has bunny, so this one makes it really easy. This is a really nice mission to do here, and you need a lot of monomer and inorganic. Once you have enough, once you have 37 and 8, you are able to start up the Void Fusion reactor. But again, you will need the pattern from this mission here, which is a 25% drop chance. Make sure you have that before you start it. Once you start that mission, these do actually drop a fairly hard boss that you have to fight. Now, there are a few tips there. You can also go into your menu screen here, and when you are fighting the boss, there will be a support request button that you can hit. Upon hitting that support request button, someone will actually load into your game and help you. At least I had that happen before, so you can do that if you need to, and that is fairly nice. However, overall, again, these missions are fairly difficult to do. It will be a little bit hard, but that's how you do the void fusion reactors. At least, again, it will drop a yellow mob boss. You'll have to down that boss. At the end, it's going to have a little decryption key or decryption device. Upon entering that, you can actually plug in your pattern, and then you can extract it there and then have a chance to get that material, or in this case, the stabilizer or even the catalyst blueprint. So you can do both of those there. That is a way to do this if you really wanted to do it that way. Although I would recommend for this case, I would more than likely do the Swamp Walker, especially if you're already on hard and you have some really good weapons upgrades. You can actually down Swamp Walker really fast. I got him under 3 to 4 minutes, so it's a fairly easy boss to do if you are on hard and have a fairly well built weapon. Moving on to the Jayber Code, it's the exact same way here. Again, we're going to do the void fusion reactors. This one's fairly simple. It's the same exact thing here. This one you can do on hard mode. It's actually probably going to more than likely give you a higher drop chance. So with all of these, you probably should do it on hard mode if you are on hard mode. Although I will recommend, the bosses are really difficult, to make sure you are geared for these, because you can lose the materials and you won't be able to plug in your material there. But this one's fairly simple. Again, 25% drop chance. Go do the recon mission, get that material pattern, head to the void reactor, and then plug it in, and you'll be able to get the drop if it does drop for you. Hardest piece here, which is the Jayber enhanced cell. This one actually does require you currently, as far as I'm aware, to have Sharon. So if you don't have Sharon, you will need to go farm Sharon. That is the one stipulation here. The reason being, unless you want to farm a 3% drop rate with Gravewalker, I do not recommend doing that. I more than likely recommend doing the void fusion reactors. You can only do these on hard mode, and these are again going to be fairly difficult. However, the issue is here, this pattern doesn't drop normally. So you see, we only have pattern 54 here. However, we need pattern 55, and this says additional reward for successful infiltration. Well, how do you infiltrate a zone recon mission? You have to do it with Sharon, and you have to be able to hack the computers while you're in invis or not getting caught. I have no idea if there's any way to do it. Normally, I've tried to snipe the mobs, I've tried to down them one by one, I've tried to take out all the mobs very quickly. More than likely, you are going to need Sharon in order to take down the computers fast enough in order to infiltrate successfully and neutralize the power unit. Otherwise, you're going to get detected, and if you're detected, you cannot get a successful infiltration. This is why Jayber is really hard to farm right now. A lot of these are really hard right now. These are 5-minute timers. You can go back to Albion to reset that timer, or get a new instance rather, but upon checking, more than likely you're going to encounter people at these zone recon missions in order to do these, so because everybody's doing them right now, and so you're going to have to try to find one that's good. I found out that Fortress is kind of camped pretty hard. It seemed like Kingston was a little bit easier to do, so I would recommend going to Kingston if you're going to do one, which is here, because it seemed like this one was fairly easy to get to, at least timer wise. It is a bit far, there is no temp zone there or anything. But again, you will more than likely need Sharon to do this. Otherwise, unless you can successfully infiltrate without her. But as of right now, it doesn't seem like there's a way, or at least it's kind of bugged or very hard to do. That's the only unfortunate part with this whole boss or whole Descendant to get, is that he is kind of difficult because of that key there. Again, we craft all these materials and we put them together at Anais, and he will be all researched and done. Each part takes 8 hours, and the total for him takes 16 once you craft him in general after the 8-hour part, so about 24 hours in total, and then you should have Jayber. All in all, that should about cover for today's video. If you like, subscribe, and until the next one, deuces.